Good morning. Good morning to everybody here, and good morning to you watching us at home. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Do you feel glad? I feel glad. Who's glad with me? Can I hear you at home? Who's glad with me? Yay! Yay! We're going to look at our memory verse. Am I in the way, or can everybody see it?
Yes.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
I'm going to read it first, and then you can read it with me. Proverbs 19, verse 20. Listen to advice and instruction, that you may gain wisdom in the future. Now are we done? Not yet, but we'll get there. So we have a big word here, maybe for some of you. Listen to advice and instruction. What does instruction mean? Instruction. Let's see, Nala. Oh. Very, very good. Obey your parents and God. And real loud, what was the last part? Where there will be consequences. That's going to be a whole lot about our lesson today. Very good. Jeremiah. To obey and listen to something like advice that's good?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what Jeremiah says. Let's read it all together. You guys can look at it up here. What I like to call the address, because it tells us where to find the verse, is Proverbs 19:20. Can you say that with me? Proverbs 19:20. If you should forget some of the words in this, you can always look it up as long as you remember the address. So, listen with me, 1, 2, 3. Listen to advice and instruction, that you may gain wisdom in the future. We're going to talk a lot about that today, and we'll come back to it later. Did you know that God gives us wise people to guide us and to help us make good choices? We're going to talk a lot about that today. Our passage comes from 1 Kings 12, 1 through 17. And we're going to talk about a king named Rehoboam. Rehoboam. I'm just going to go with that pronunciation because sometimes it's very, very difficult to pronounce these names. We're going to talk about the jungle. The jungle is an ever-changing landscape. It changes when storms blow down trees. It changes with floods. It changes as the brush and the vines that make the jungle so lush and dense that they grow and spread. So now you might have had a path, but now the path is all overgrown with brushes, so you can't find it, and with trees. But because you can have a map, and that's a great start to navigate, to make your way through the jungle. But because the jungle is always changing, the map's not foolproof. What do? You need a guide who knows the land. You may also need a compass or a GPS to help you know where you are going. Joseph, does this have something to do with the lesson?
What's a GPS?
GPS is that thing in your car. Some people have them, and you turn it, you put it on, and you put your destination where you want to go in, the address, or if you're going to a concert at a venue, you put that in, and a map will come up, and some of them speak to you and tell you where to go, and that's a GPS.
Oh, it just will tell you where to go, and then you just.
I'm sorry, a couple people were talking. I'm gonna ask Joseph to talk right now. What were you saying? I missed it.
The person in the phone says where you have to go, and you have to see your destination, and then it says you are at your destination.
You are right. There's an app in your phone that will do that if you have it. I like mine in my pickup because it's right there and it's big, and I don't have to search on my phone. I don't have to look at a map, and mine talks to me. And I appreciate that because I don't have to take my eyes off the road. It says in 40 feet, turn to the right on destination street. And then I just go there. And so GPSs are really good. And sometimes when you're trying to make your way through the jungle, any kind of jungle, GPS or a map or a person that knows where you're going really, really helps. Even if you've been in a certain part of the jungle before, you're going to some place where you've been before, a wise explorer, a wise person who's been there won't go in without some kind of tool to guide them. They know how quickly the jungle changes. Our life changes so much in just a few moments. And they know how dangerous it can be. One false turn with no map, no compass, no GPS or phone app to guide you, you can end up lost and in trouble. Kind of sounds like school. We're all going or are already back at school. But I don't mean school as in teacher and tests. I mean school as in friends and classmates. So what kind of school is that? The older you get, the deeper you go into education. The more school can be a jungle. Every year brings new challenges and unfortunately new temptations. Eyes up here. Let's sit on our seats. Feet on the floor if they reach. Ooh, that rhymes. Peer pressure. Do you know what peer pressure is? Can somebody explain it to me? Izzy?
When all you have in your head and body is stress.
Could you say that again real loud for the camera?
When all you have in your head and body is stress.
Okay.
You're stressed out.
Yes. And your friends and your classmates can be called peers. And sometimes they can try to pressure you into things that you know aren't right. And that can be difficult to deal with, can it? It's the pressure that you feel when you want to go along with the crowd and you want to be like everybody else and do what everybody else is doing. But in your heart and your conscience knows it's not right. But you don't want to be left out. What will you do when someone challenges you, asks you to break a rule? Can you guys think of something a friend or a classmate might ask you to do that you know isn't right? And you don't really want to do it, but you feel kind of caught? Can you think of an example? Has that happened to you?
It's happened to me.
How has it happened to you, huh?
While I was in kindergarten,
Nice and loud.
I was in kindergarten and there was this kid and he bullies my friend and he tried to make me do something to him.
And
I didn't do it.
you didn't do it. I'm proud of you.
Stop bullying him.
You stuck to your morals and you stuck to what you knew was right. In kindergarten and first grade, we have little things that come up that we might have a problem with always doing the right thing. But when we get up to 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, it gets bigger and it gets harder. I have a question for you. What if a friend says to you that they know how they can sneak you and themselves into a movie theater so you can watch a movie for free? What are you going to do?
I would say that's not right.
You say that's not right. I say that is a good thing to say. Izzy.
I would get money and pay for it without them knowing.
Okay, I'm kind of liking that.
That way they're still happy and we don't get in trouble if we get caught. Like,
So you would pay for both of you.
And I wouldn't have them notice. And I'd lie to them saying it's a friend of mine. That way we don't get in trouble.
Okay,
That way they're
okay.
happy too.
I have another one for you. This is a hard one. And at some point in your school years, especially if you're a good student and everybody knows how smart you are, you might have a friend ask you if they can cheat on a test by looking at your paper. Because they know you study and you're smart and they can use that to get a good grade. What are you going to do? Joseph.
You might tell the teacher they're looking at my paper.
Tell the teacher?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. An adult, tell the teacher, make somebody aware of it so that you don't get in trouble, and your friend will eventually learn that they've got to do their own studying. Jeremiah.
Ignore them.
Ignore them. Doesn't sound polite, but they're asking something that's not right of you, right? And that's not right. I saw, let's see.
I would be like, if it was a money test, I would be like, I have an idea how you could do it. You could use your fingers to count. And I would be like, you don't need to cheat because you could use your fingers to count because they're like a good thing to count.
She is saying something very good. Instead of just letting them copy you, since you've already done the work and know what to do, you can teach them. We call that tutoring. You could teach them, if it's math, like she said, you could teach them how to count on their fingers. Or if it's science or English, you could show them in the book where the answers are so they can look it up for themselves and learn for themselves. That is so smart.
I'm getting none of those. And because you're not answering, it's because you're not answering any questions.
Do you have an answer for me, Michaela? What will you do if somebody wants you to do something that you know is not right?
So if someone says a bad word, I just walk away.
Okay, if someone says a bad word, Michaela would walk away. How about you? That's a good, we're gonna move on. We'll talk some more later. So some of you have already given me some very good answers about how to navigate the jungle of peer pressure. How do we navigate any challenge in life? Whose help do we need? Whose help do we need? Gina. Jesus. We need Jesus, and he helps us by giving us wise teachers. One of you brought that up. They can guide us. God gives us people that know the wrong way all too well, and so they can give you good advice. If we are wise, we will listen to their directions. Who might be some of these people in your life besides your teacher, Joseph? Who else might be wise to tell you what is the best thing to do and not to do?
The best thing to do and the worst thing to do is, the best thing to do is not copy people and other stuff like that. And the worst things is just, I don't know what the worst things are.
How about, go ahead.
The worst thing is to just let them copy you and just let them like talk with you in the text.
And we talked about going to a teacher would be a good thing about that. Who else could you share with? Michaela?
You can share it with your mom or dad.
You can share it with your mom and dad, and they might instruct you to either go to the teacher or maybe they would do that for you. We're gonna move on for a minute. I'll get back to you. How about a coach? You're playing a sport, and your coach is like a teacher. If you play basketball, your coach is gonna know how to tell you the best way to sink a basket. They're gonna teach you how to palm a ball and pass a ball. And those are things you need to listen to play a sport. And we need to listen to God, read the Bible, and listen to wise people to play life. That's how it goes. The Bible tells us many stories about men and women who rely on good advice to do the right thing. But today's scripture is not one of those. We're going to learn from somebody else's mistake today. That's what's going to happen. We've got a king named Rehoboam. Can you say that? Rehoboam. It's like this long on print. Very good, Rehoboam. He was a descendant of King David. We've all heard of King David. And he's the one that put down Goliath with a slingshot and a rock. He's the direct son of King Solomon, who was David's son, and a man who was known as the wisest king in not only in Israel, but all the lands. He was very wise. So Rehoboam is going to become the new king of Israel. And he's traveling to a place called Shechem. How would you like to live in Shechem? I live 1407 Street 9 in Shechem. That would be funny, wouldn't it? David was a king, his grandpa, who did what was right in God's eyes. And the Lord blessed him for it. And when the Lord asked Solomon that what he wanted, that God would give him anything, what would you ask for if God said, I will give you anything? Big question.
I would ask for a happy life.
I like that. What would you ask for, Ryan?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I put him on the spot. He didn't know I was going to do this.
Oh wow. What would I ask for from God? Wow.
So far we have a happy life.
I would ask for, to be wise, to be the wisest man alive.
You know what? That's what Solomon asked for. He has the right answer.
Me?
Nala.
Oh. I would
Sorry,
ask for
Give another person a home. Somebody who doesn't have a home should ask God to give them a
Thank
home.
you. I like that. Thinking of somebody else is so wonderful. One more, and I'm going to pick Izzy. I picked you, Izzy. Like that. So many of us are thinking of the whole full picture.
Yep.
Did Izzy and Nala get Bible back?
Yes.
Excellent. So King Solomon asked for wisdom, and God gave him that and more. My glasses were off. I apologize. What are you trying to say to me?
Nothing, I was trying to get them to turn around.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I know. I can't see up close with my glasses, and I can't see far without them, so it's kind of a fun line to walk. So you would think that Rehoboam, coming from the lineage, coming from the family of David and Solomon, that he would listen to his advisors and follow the path of his elders. But oh no, we're gonna just find out what he does. I'm gonna read a couple of verses to you from Kings. It's upside down. Now I will read to you out of Kings, chapter 12, verse 4 and 5. Jeroboam, who ran away from King Solomon because he thought he was too harsh to him, is in Egypt. And when he hears that Rehoboam is going to become king, he comes running to Shechem to talk to him. And a whole bunch of people from Israel come with him. So they all travel and they all talk to Rehoboam, and they say, your father put a heavy yoke, was very harsh with us, a lot of labor, and he put on us. And if you would lighten that load and make it not so harsh for us, we will serve you. We will serve you and we will be your subjects. So Rehoboam answered, go away for 3 days and then come back to me. So the people went away. I need 2 readers. Go ahead and come up. And TJ, come on. One of you sit over here, one of you sit over here. And I've got cards for you to read. Take your pick. So you're going to have verse 6 and you're going to have verse 7. And we just read that the people want King Rehoboam to make life easier for them. So you go ahead and read your verse.
Then King Rehoboam asked the elders who had served his father Solomon, how would you advise me to answer these people?
Okay. So he goes to his father, to Solomon's elders that helped him through his time as king. How should he answer these people? Now you're going to read verse 7.
And serve them and give them a favorable answer. They will always be your servants.
So the elders that helped his father say, make things lighter for them, show them favor, show them that you care about them, that you're the king and they are your subjects, and they will serve you forever. Does that sound like good advice? You can go sit down. Does that sound like good advice?
Yes.
I think it sounds pretty good. Michaela?
Is it dark in here?
Is what?
Is it dark in here?
Is it dark?
Yeah. Is it dark in here?
What do you think? I see a lot of bright light. I think it looks like Jesus is with us and he's shining his light bright on us. So, how many people think King Rehoboam listened to these people and showed the Israelites and Jeroboam, I'm forgetting his name already, that he's going to give them some favor and make things lighter on them? How many of you think he's going to do that? Sounds like a wise thing to do to me. Jeremiah, you think he would do it? I think he should do it. But guess what? What do you think?
I don't think he does it because most kings are like snob. Like they just think about themselves.
A lot of kings in the Bible just think about themselves. You are so right. So what he actually does do is he talks to some of his friends. Some of his friends that are his age, you know, that I think he thinks are going to think more like him because they're more his age. And they tell him, no, make it harder on him. Don't lighten anything. Let them know who's boss is basically what they're saying, and that they are going to serve you and you are going to make things even harder on them than your father did. So, that's what he decided to do. Yeah, so let's see how well that went. He could have listened to his guides, but he chose to get lost in sin. If we are wise, we will learn from his mistakes and we will choose the right path with God's counselors as our guide. Who are some of God's counselors? There's a couple of them sitting here very humbly. Jesus. And what about our pastor? And mommies and daddies. We've got two mommies and a daddy sitting right here. There are two ways a person can become wise. I need you to listen up. We'll go quickly here. This stuff is just too good to skip over. One of the ways we can become wise is by experience. Can somebody explain experience for me? Nala?
Experience means that you experience something.
Oops, just hit it. I'll take care of it later, unless it's important. Yes, Gina?
Experience means like you go and like something, like you have a good experience or something.
Experience? Go ahead. One more.
I think experience is like when you just look and listen to the people and then you learn from them.
Very good. What if you touch a hot stove and it burns and it hurts? That's an experience. What are you learning from that? Michaela.
My Mimi have a book with a little girl inside the book, and her mom told her to not touch the food while the fire was on.
Yeah.
And her touched it with her hand.
She touched it with her hand, and what happened after that?
She got burned. She got burned on her finger.
So that should tell the little girl in the book that Michaela's talking about that you don't do that again because it's going to hurt. That's an experience and you can learn from it.
And her was getting the cold.
She was what?
And her was messy all, and her was messy, and her was messy, and her put food on the couch.
Oh,
And the food was on her, then her put the food on the couch.
no more food on the couch. And if you've gotten burned, you're not going to forget that. And if you're a wise person, you're not going to do it again. Sorry about that. But if experience is our only way of learning, we're going to have a lot of people running around with burns, with scrapes, with bumps, with bruises, with cuts. So that's not the only way to learn. Thankfully, God has given us older, not me of course, I'm not old. God has given us older, wiser people to teach us wisdom. Most of you will never know the pain of a hot stove because, Izzy,
People have told us not to touch them when they're hot.
people have told you not to touch them when they're hot.
Your sandwich.
Like Aaron's. Very good, Michaela. Your parents have also given you wisdom on how to stay safe. Like when you're crossing the street, riding in cars. How do we stay safe riding in a car? Joseph?
Put your seatbelt on.
Seatbelt, wear a seatbelt. Stay set down. I'm going to move on. And getting away from situations, experiences, and people that can lead you into trouble. Parents are the first people God gives us to instruct us and help us. He also gives us teachers, say teachers, coaches, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and other siblings who can tell us the best way.
Nana, Grandpa, and your auntie.
We just said that. Very good. Thank you for repeating that. He can also, your coaches and your teachers can tell you the safe way to build your muscle. Your grandparents, as Michaela said, can advise you on everything from family recipes to choosing good friends. Your older siblings can give you specific information on how to live life and how to handle peer pressure. You can and will gain great wisdom from your own experiences. But like the twisted, tangled vines of the jungle, there are many experiences that are best avoided. God has given you parents and other wise adults to be your guides. They will be your compass to point you to God, your true north, and guide you in the right path. Listen to wisdom. Learn it, and most important, use it. God will lead you through the jungle. He's surrounded you with guides to help you find your way. If King Rehoboam would have made good choices, things would have been different for his people. But since he didn't make a good choice, it made his kingdom very vulnerable, very prone to other kingdoms taking them over, prone to problems, and eventually his kingdom split apart. And now they're not as fortified, meaning they don't have as many soldiers. Each kingdom doesn't have as many ways to protect themselves, and so now they fall to other kingdoms, and they wind up praising other gods, which the other people from other kingdoms did, and that turned out very bad for them. So I'm going to tell you something about making good choices, and I want you to listen real carefully, because if Rehoboam would have done this, things would have gone better. Life is full of choices. Say that with me. Life is full of choices. And the choices you make today determines the quality of your life, both now and in the future. Do you get that? Make good choices now, and you will live with the abundance of what good choices can bring you. Make bad choices, and there will be consequences. So remember, life, say it with me, life is full of choices. Make good choices. Put your hands down, we're going to pray out. Dear God, thank you for the wisdom of our parents and of all those you've put in charge of us, be teachers or coaches. Thank you, and Father God, help us to remember to listen to wise advice and to recognize it. Amen.
Amen.
Bye. Thanks for joining us. Make good choices.